Welcome to Travis Park Church in San Antonio, Texas. We believe that all are welcome and love is the answer to hate.
All right. Well, good morning, Travis Park Church. So sorry, we were doing our online worship service and realized there was an audio malfunction. So we are back in action this Sunday morning here live with you online at 11:15. So if you were watching with us and you were very confused why you could not hear me, hopefully that's fixed now. And we're with you today for this second part of Corazon Sunday, where we celebrate the heart of our outreach ministry, which is the nonprofit Corazon San Antonio that has been here at Travis Park Church and now in other places around San Antonio for the last 23 and 24 years at this place. And it's so good. Last week, we heard our street outreach specialist, Morgan Hanley, share from the Gospel of Luke, and we're going to continue that gospel lesson of Luke 8 in a minute. But we'll continue reading our Old Testament lessons and be with you this morning. My name is Pastor Gavin. I'm the Executive Director and Associate Pastor at Travis Park Church and with Corazon San Antonio. And it's a joy to share the stories of what we get to do each and every day in our city. So welcome. You're welcome in this place, this online space, both live and watching in the video later. Let's hear from the book of Isaiah. Chapter 58. If you get rid of unfair practices, quit blaming victims, quit gossiping about other people's sins. If you are generous with the hungry and start giving yourself to the down and out, your lives will begin to glow in the darkness. Your shadow lives will be bathed in sunlight. I will always show you where to go. I will give you a full life in the emptiest of places, firm muscles, strong bones. You'll be like a well-watered garden, a gurgling spring that never runs dry. You use the old rubble of past lives to build anew. Rebuild the foundations from out of your past. You'll be known as those who can fix anything. Restore old ruins, rebuild and renovate. Make the community livable again. If you watch your step on the Sabbath and don't use my holy day for personal advantage, if you treat the Sabbath as a day of joy, God's holy day as a celebration, if you honor it by refusing business as usual, making money, running here and there, then you'll be free to enjoy God. Oh, I'll make you ride high and soar above it all. I'll make you a feast of the inheritance of your ancestor Jacob. Yes, God says so. Amen. There are moments that the words don't reach. There is suffering too terrible to name. You hold your child as tight as you can, and you push away the unimaginable. There are moments when you're in so deep, it feels easier to just swim down and learn to live with the unimaginable. Look at where we are. Look at where we started. But hear me out, that would be enough. They're trying to do things that are unimaginable. There are moments that the words don't reach. There's a grace too powerful to name. We push away what we can never understand. We push away the unimaginable. Forgiveness. Can you imagine? Forgiveness. Can you imagine? If you see him in the street, walking by her side, talking by her side, have pity. They're going through the unimaginable. You know, that was from Lin-Manuel Miranda from the musical Hamilton. And I think it's a great way to start this morning. It's an appropriate way to start this morning. You know, each and every day, I get to see our staff go out and serve the people of San Antonio. And all too often, this is a situation that happens. Like, for example, the other day, there was a client of ours who was overdosing across the street at a partner agency next door to our day center. And they called us in extreme worry that he was dying. And our outreach workers and our harm reduction team ran over to the client across the street. And unfortunately enough, they had Narcan, a drug that can counteract an active overdose, and they gave the client Narcan, and he woke back up. Stopped his overdose so the EMT that arrived later could assist even more and get them to a safe place. They sometimes encounter the unimaginable. You know, in Luke chapter 8 is what we're going to read through as our gospel lesson this morning. And Luke 8 is a fantastic passage to read. It's a very long passage. A lot takes place in this passage. You know, it starts out with a violent storm, and Jesus commands it to stop, and the storm ceases. Later on in the chapter, he calls out a legion of demons from a wild, naked, insane man by commanding them to go out into a herd of pigs. And then what we'll read right now is the passage of two people who encounter Jesus in a very personal way. This is what it says in Luke chapter 8. Hear the gospel. Now, when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were all expecting him. Then a man named Jairus, a synagogue leader, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come to his house because his only daughter, a girl about 12 years old, was dying. Jairus was in a place of desperation. He knew that if he could get to Jesus, maybe healing could take place. And Jesus accepts Jairus' plea. And they start walking toward his home. As we continue, as Jesus was on his way, the crowds almost crushed him. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. She came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. "Who touched me?" Jesus asked. When they all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the people are crowding and pressing against you." But Jesus said, "No, someone touched me. I know that the power has gone out from me." Both Jairus and this woman were in desperate situations. This leads me to my first point of today's lesson, and that is God's timing is unknown and oftentimes unexpected. We can't control the world around us. We sometimes feel powerless. And we have to trust in God's timing. But unknown and unexpected things happen. Our daughter gets sick. We become sick ourselves. Doctors fail us. People fail us. We feel left out. It's unexpected. When the women, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet in the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. And then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." Our second point of today's lesson is that God's love is unparalleled. Nothing and no one can stand in the way of God's love. No power or problem on earth. No demonic force, no mocking crowd, no violent storm, no illness that appears untreatable. That's the unparalleled nature of God's love. While Jesus was still speaking, someone came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader, and they said, "Your daughter is dead." He said, "Don't bother the teacher anymore." Which leads me to my third point, where God's plan is sometimes unnerving. It's uncomfortable. There's a lot of tension. While Jesus was still speaking, right after he healed the woman that was bleeding, he went into a sermon. And Jairus has been here the whole time. He's been standing there patiently waiting because Jesus said he'll go to his house to help his sick daughter. And then right after he helped somebody else, Jesus started speaking. And for quite a long time, enough time had passed that somebody came from the house of Jairus and said, "Don't bother the teacher anymore. Your daughter is dead." It must have been an unnerving situation, one that probably was extremely frustrating for Jairus. He was there first. He should have been helped first. It's unfair. Jesus got distracted. He was caring from somebody else and forgot about the other person. I know you felt this tension before. I've known you felt it. I have felt it. I've seen people claim that Jesus helps him, but I feel like I'm getting passed by. I'm forgot about, or ignored. And damn it, I just wish God could help me. Seems unfair. And sometimes God's plan is unnerving. Hearing this, Jesus says to Jairus, "Don't be afraid, just believe, and she will be healed." When Jesus arrived at the house of Jairus, he did not let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, and James, and the child's father and mother. Meanwhile, all the people were wailing and mourning for her. "Stop wailing," Jesus said. "She is not dead, but asleep." That's pretty typical when someone passes away in that tradition, which is the tradition Jesus was a part of, that mourners would gather, sometimes for days, crying out and mourning with the family. And Jesus walks in and boldly says, "Stop wailing." And they laughed at him, knowing that she was dead. They saw this 12-year-old girl die while Jesus was still speaking. And they laughed at him. And not a funny laugh, not a comedic laugh, an angry laugh, a sarcastic, frustrated laugh. But we continue. But he took her by the hand and said, "My child, get up." Then she stood up. Then Jesus said to give her something to eat. And here's my favorite part. Her parents were astonished. And that's where the story ends. Because the fourth and final point of this passage in the 8th chapter of Luke is that God's healing is unimaginable. You know, there's in the Old Testament a man named Joseph, and his brothers did not like them, and they sold him as a slave. And for years and years and years, he was without his family. He was without support. And he was a slave, sold by his family. And then nearly 40 years later, after being sold, Jesus speaks to his brothers in one of the most faith-filled moments in the Bible. He says this, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what now is being done, the saving of many lives." You know, each and every day, Corazon staff goes out and tries to reduce the harm that this world often brings. Maybe it's our own trials and tribulations, our own worst tragedies. Maybe it's a violent storm that always comes into our lives. Maybe it's 12 years of hemorrhaging in a sickness that we can't figure out. Maybe it's a 12-year-old daughter who was dying. Or maybe, like many of our friends that we encounter and our clients of Corazon, maybe it's 12 years of addiction or 12 years of continued relapses and drug use. But even though God's love is unparalleled, that sometimes it's unnerving and unknown and unexpected, we also believe that God's healing is unimaginable for each and every one of us. You know, I don't believe that miracles are magic. We see them each and every day. We see them all around us. I want you to watch this video from Corazon's harm reduction team and see the miracles they do each and every day.
Considered a controversial practice, Bexar County is the only place in Texas where needle exchanges are legal. Some say the exchanges save lives, others say they enable drug addicts. But tonight we take you inside a homeless camp for a raw look at life in the grips of addiction and the team on the front lines trying to bring them home.
Hey, it's Cody.
On San Antonio's south side,
I'm always announcing that we're here, letting them know in advance.
you'll find Cody and Scott.
How you doing, brother?
They're part of Corazon, San Antonio's harm reduction outreach team.
This is reality. This is the reality of what's going on. You can't tuck it away. You can't lock it away.
I was there where you at.
Their effectiveness on the streets, their gift, is their own pain, personal battles with addiction, now channeled into something different.
I'm comfortable coming out here because I understand these people's story.
During the week, the outreach team visits homeless camps across San Antonio, handing out safe injection kits, toiletries, offering peer support, and building relationships.
In this camp alone, right? You know, each one of these are human beings that are somebody's children, somebody's sisters, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews.
The team swaps out dirty needles for clean ones, distributes Narcan, and treats wounds.
I practice compassion because we are all human beings. We all have made mistakes. So we take care of a lot of wounds that are caused usually by missed injections when they, miss the vein that they're trying to inject.
For some, the idea of handing drug addicts clean needles is controversial. But for people like Cody, the logic looks different.
If somebody's dead, then recovery isn't possible.
So we're on the southwest side of San Antonio, and we are in the middle of one of the encampments that Corazon Ministries comes on out to. This is where they do their harm reduction. This is where they do their outreach, and this is where they make the most impact. During the light of day, the camp was calm, quiet. We were invited in with the outreach team.
You know, you've got people, like I was saying, who've been living back here for 7 and 8 years, and they look out for each other, right? They also can be each other's worst enemy as well.
Scott and Cody have both called camps like these home and explain what it's like to live there.
The beast comes out in people, man, when they don't have what they desire on a daily basis and their bodies are desiring a substance that has them doing things that are out of the norm. So they may rob and steal from each other, right? You know, females get raped out here, males as well.
A dark reality, but there's humanity here too. People who have lost their way, just trying to hold on. Like this man. He waved us down, wanting to talk and sharing his nickname.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll?
Rock and roll.
Do these guys help you out?
Yeah.
They bring stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Yeah.
Food, wire.
Glimpses of humanity.
Even though that they're out of sight, to us, they're not out of mind. It may be just that one day that we show up that they're ready to go. And that's what it took for me. It was just that one day. And since then, I've never looked back.
Moments of grace, breaking through the grip of addiction.
By us coming out, we open that dialogue because we speak their language. We have a youngster in the van right now that's going back to the day center with us into our harm reduction hub, and we're going to attempt to get him into detox and treatment today because he was ready. We've engaged with him numerous times, and so today he came to me and he said, "I'm ready. It's my time."
That's incredible. What did that feel like? On San Antonio's south side.
It's an amazing feeling.
Simone D'Alba. The Bexar County Needle Exchange is paid for by the Bexar County Commissioner's Court, Metro Health, UT Health, and federal funding. Since it began in November of 2021, over 1,500 people have been helped.
Those are the miracles we get to see each and every day, all throughout San Antonio, with the good work of Corazon Ministries. And it's a privilege to share that story with you this summer. It's been a joy the last 2 Sundays to really bring in our staff, both virtually and in person, to share those testimonies. And I believe that Genesis 50:20 is the theme of our harm reduction initiative. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Healing is possible. Here at Corazon, we will compel them as best as we can to come in and receive services so that their healing can quickly appear. I'll end this service in 1 Corinthians 13, but not the part that you might know. Hear this word. Love never dies. We only know a portion of the truth. And what we say about God is always incomplete. But when the complete arrives, our incompletes will be canceled. We don't see things clearly. We're squinting in a fog, peering through a mist. But it won't be long before the weather clears and the sun shines bright. We'll see it all then. See it as clearly as God sees us, knowing him directly as he knows us. But for right now, until that completeness, we have three things to do to lead us toward that end. Trust steadily, hope unswervingly, and love extravagantly. And the best of these is love.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.
We really believe that all people should be treated equally in the same way we would want to be treated. My name is Pastor Gavin Rogers. I'm the Executive Director of Corazon San Antonio. The mission of Corazon is to treat everybody with unconditional love and justice and action. We primarily serve people who are experiencing homelessness, but we also serve people who are marginalized, people experiencing from trauma, mental illness, and we treat them with love and compassion. And so we started back in 1999. Travis Park Church helped found Corazon. At first, they were serving those who were experiencing homelessness at Travis Park, right next door. We started with a warm breakfast, and then a medical clinic, and then it grew. And so our heartbeat has always been in downtown San Antonio, serving those, the neighbors that we love all around us.
Here you go. God takes broken things and he creates beautiful things out of the brokenness. We hope to fill that brokenness with a light that can shine through. Deborah's House has a mission to empower women coming out of substance use disorder treatment centers. And we're teaching them how to live their lives as productive members of society.
I really don't think that I would be this far along without the type of help that I needed. Thank you for the medicine that I need to protect myself. And thank you for helping people, even if sometimes when they're a little out of control, helping them to get more under control and perhaps see themselves a little better than what they have seen themselves. I met a lady named Morgan who was on the outreach team, and she helped me with my situation of finding a home. Well, the street team was out once and they saw my legs. My legs had exploded. I had high blood pressure and I had what they call lymphedema. And I didn't know it at the time, but they saw it and they said, this has to be helped. Some people are afraid that the outreach team isn't for them. I could tell them straight up, don't be afraid to connect with the outreach team because they know what they're doing. Thank you for getting me off the streets.
I'm Phil Watkins. I'm a member of Travis Park Methodist Church, and I'm on the board and a volunteer for Corazon Ministries. Volunteering here at Corazon, especially the meeting people and dealing with them on a regular basis, is a real blessing in my life.
To give back to the community, especially to those who are less fortunate than I am, was a great opportunity for me. It opened my eyes, it opened my heart, and I felt like though I was giving, I was getting more than I was giving.
If I never figure out where the road goes.
Our hope for Corazon in the future is to continually expand our street outreach program so we can meet as many people living on the streets of San Antonio as possible. We want to expand the Deborah's House to not only include women, but women with children who are trying to find their pathway to recovery. We want to expand our medical clinic where maybe we can serve people medically throughout the week. So we have so many great things that we want to do that Corazon has done for many, many decades. And so that's, I think we're going to continue who we are, but expand those services throughout Bexar County and San Antonio. And so the people in Corazon are the heartbeat, really the Corazon of San Antonio that really serve the people well.
Every day, we get to see miracles. Miracles happen here at our medical clinic. Miracles happen here at our migrant overnight shelter. Miracles happen in our day center Miracles happen with our harm reduction team and our outreach workers who go out and save countless lives. Miracles happen at the street choir. Miracles happen in our recovery home. Miracles happen at Deborah's house, where women become transformed each and every day who are in need. And you can also be that miracle. You can go online and learn more all about Corazon at corazonsa.org. Come check us out. You can donate, you can learn to volunteer. We serve 7 meals, home-cooked meals a week. Our kitchen always needs your help. So thank you for watching today. Thank you for attending Travis Park Church, who helped found Corazon so many years ago. They can always remind us that love is always the answer to hate. Have a blessed morning.